I'm Chef Desmond Keefe, and we're here at the Demonstration Theater at Rowan College at Burlington County, and we're about to do another episode of The Humble Spud. Today's episode is all about classic potato preparations. I'm going to be doing a Chateau potato, and a little later on, we'll be doing the gratin. You'll have to pardon my pronunciation because I don't really have a good French accent. One of the things that I like to talk to people about is tools. And we haven't had a chance to talk about that so far, so let's take a look at that today. So of course, one of the most important things when you're talking about potatoes is a peeler. I like this kind right here. It has a great grip on it, and I find that with that guard on the back, it really works very well when it comes to being able to do the job of peeling a potato properly. Some people like those other ones where they've got the blade going the opposite way and now you're going like this. That's fine. You know, it's up to you and personal preference, but I just like to do the traditional standard format. Now, of course, another thing to be thinking about is a good chef knife. One of the things that you think about in that regard is it should be a high carbon stainless steel blade. That means it's going to keep its edge well as stay nice and sharp for you. And then of course I have a sharpening steel, and this is not for actually sharpening, it's really for honing. It's just one of those things that's always a good idea to be aware of when it comes to that. But the idea is you take your knife and you hold your steel in your hand like that, and you're gonna go with about a 45-degree angle, and you can either go towards you or against you, and that's all up to you, like that. You know, and of course, once you've been doing it for a while, you start to get very good at it, and you know, now you've got that nice honed edge that you're looking for when you do that. So now take a look. Yeah, works good for me. Now, why am I talking about that? Well, because Chateau potatoes are a specific knife cut that I want to demonstrate to you now. So the first thing we do, I already peeled them, so we won't be using the peeler at this particular juncture, but what we do next is we want to make a block out of our potato. And the reason why I peel them first is that all of the trimmings that I take off can then be used for another item. And if you don't peel it, well, that means you're probably just going to toss those out. So those are always things to think about when you're doing that. So I want a nice rectangular block, and so we're going to cut down on the sides and form a block just like this all the way around. All right. And what we're doing is a tourné cut, which is a classic knife cut in French classical cuisine, and we teach it, of course, in our culinary arts class. And one of the things that we do once we finish the blocks is we cut the ends off, and then we have what we're looking for here, which is a nice rectangular block that we can use to work with. Now, I mentioned already that all the different tools that we have. This is my tourné knife. If you'll notice, it's got a little bit of a curve on the blade itself, and that will make it so that when I'm doing my knife cut for these tourné cuts, which is a 7-sided football shape, it will allow us to come out with the cut that we're looking for. So the technique is as follows. I'm going to take my thumb and index finger and hold the top and bottom of my block of potato. And now I'm going to take my tourné knife, and I'm going to take my other thumb and place it at the bottom of my block, and then I take the blade and I place it at the center of the top of my block. And now I'm going to pull the knife towards me, and that's why I have my thumb on the bottom, in order for that to happen. So I can very carefully be able to pull this towards me. And the idea is I'm making a rounded shape. So I go out and then back in again from the top to the bottom to make that football shape that we're looking for. So we start from the top, and then we pull gently, like I said, and slowly out so that it comes out to the edge, and then back in again so it comes to the center. All right, now we turn the potato and we do the same cut again. We work our way around just like so, and there it is. Now, you don't have to use a tourné knife that I'm using here. Any paring knife can achieve the same goal. When I was working in the industry, many years ago now, we actually had a little competition going on. So what was the largest knife that you could use and make a tournée? And I had a chef friend who had a 14-inch chef knife, and he would do the exact knife cut that I'm doing right here with that large knife. And you know, we all got a big kick out of it. And that's kind of how things are when you're working in the kitchen. You know, you have kind of an odd sense of humor when it comes to things like that. So there we are. And then you can work your way back around if you find that one side's a little bit fatter than the other to get that shape that you're looking for. And so there we are. There it is, our classic football shape. Fat in the middle, pointed at the ends. And so there it is like that. And so what we're gonna do is we'll take that and we'll pop it into a pan full of water so it doesn't brown on us. And then we'll take all the other pieces, as I mentioned, we'll set those to the side and we'll keep them for a little bit later on. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and poach this in a little bit of water, and then we brown it up, and that's going to be our Chateau potato, which is just perfect because it's crispy on the outside and nice and fluffy in the center. And so let's go to the stove and start on our cooking. All right now, so we have a couple of our tournée potatoes here, and I got my water boiling, so we're just gonna pop those right into some salted water, and I just want those to kind of blanch. So we'll let them go just 4 or 5 minutes till they soften a little bit, and then we'll pop them out, and then we're gonna get them into our pan, and we'll brown them up. So this is gonna take a couple minutes. All right, now that we have poached off our potato, we're going to now give it that browning effect that we're looking for. So I've got a pan that I've been putting on the heat for just a minute. We're gonna do a little bit of butter and oil, as I always like to do. That way we can give it that browning effect without burning the butter. And so now I have my poached potatoes, and we're gonna put those right in the pan, just like that. And we'll give that a minute to go ahead and brown up. So these are gonna be one of our classic potatoes that we discussed at the beginning of the show. And so, as always, a little salt and pepper can't hurt when it comes to something like this, so I always give it a little, and when I turn them, I'll probably season them one more time. But the important thing when you're doing these is that you don't have too high a heat, because they'll get too dark before they get that golden brown and cooked all the way through that we're looking for. So we are gonna go with a low and slow technique here, and just let those go for just a few minutes on each side, and then once they've cooked all the way around, all 7 sides, we'll be able to plate it up. All right, so now that we have our gorgeous Chateau potatoes all browned up on all sides, let's go ahead and plate things up. Trying to put a nice presentation together here. So we'll go ahead and put a couple on either side of my skateboard plate that I have here, just like that. And then since we're dealing with classics, I of course had to make a classic lamb preparation to go with it. So I did a rack of lamb with some Dijon and breadcrumbs on there. As you can see, it's just gorgeous. I'm very happy with that. So let's go ahead and make some beautiful cuts in there. And we are going to cut some good looking chops to go right. Actually, I'm going to take a center cut over on this side as well to make that presentation just right. Okay, so let's get those back in the pan for a snack for later. And then here we are right here. Let's just present 1, 2, and 3 chops going right in the center of that presentation. And so there you have it. We have our Chateau potatoes served today with a gorgeous classic rack of lamb. And so now it's time to get started and work on those au gratin potatoes. Okay, so now it's time to get started on our second recipe, the potatoes au gratin. And what we're gonna do here is take a good use of our mandolin. And so I've already got my peeled potatoes right here. And what I like to do with these is I hold it straight up and down like this as I'm doing my cuts, because if you hold it on an angle, they won't be all uniform in size. And this is what we're looking for, is uniformity when we cut our potatoes. So we want it to be about 1/8 of an inch on the thickness when you adjust that thickness on there for your mandolin. Now, of course, you can certainly use your knife to be cutting these potatoes as well. It just becomes a little bit more time consuming and less consistent. So that's why I find, you know, work smarter, not harder is always a good plan when it comes to working in the kitchen. So there we go. We're just gonna give that a nice slice, right like that. Now, always be careful. Yeah, see? Don't wanna get anything happening to those nice little fingers or digits. So, and then we can just do the same thing with the other one. 1, 2, 3, here we are. Just keep working our way through like that. And, you know, it's never a bad idea if you want to. You can even take a towel or something like that to protect your hands. That way, you're less likely to lose your fingertip as you're working on through those. So that's the process when it comes to that. All right, so we've done a couple potatoes, and I have a couple more already done over here. So our next step is to then poach off these potatoes in a little cream and milk that I have right here. So we're gonna take our potatoes that we've just sliced and we'll put them in here, and the poaching allows us to speed up the cooking time once it goes into the oven. That's the idea behind that. Otherwise, you're gonna have about 1.5 hours of cook time. This way, it's only about 40 minutes. So that's heavy cream and milk, equal parts, about 1 cup each. I also have some whole garlic that we're gonna have chopped up and put right in like that. There's my garlic right there. And then I definitely wanna make sure I get some butter in there, because butter makes everything better. And then I also have some grated nutmeg, classic for this preparation. So we're gonna take this and we're just gonna bring it over the stove and let it simmer about 8 minutes, and then we'll be able to get it ready for the oven. All right, so now that we've poached off our potatoes in our cream and milk, what we're gonna do now is just separate them out for a second. I wanna take the potatoes and I'm gonna put them over in this container here so that I can then arrange them onto my oven-proof casserole dish. So we're just gonna go ahead and take these, and that's why we don't wanna overcook them, because they will break up on us as we're doing this transfer here. So you got to be a little bit careful. They're still definitely firm at this point, which is exactly what I'm looking for as I'm making this preparation. And so there we go, right there, just those last couple pieces. Perfect. All right, now before I make my arrangements, I do need to prepare my dish. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of this nice softened butter, maybe a little more because we love butter, and we're gonna put that right in the bottom and just smear it around all the way on the bottom and on the sides. And of course, that's gonna give us flavor, and it's also gonna help it from sticking to the sides when it's time to clean a little bit later. So that's always a good idea when we are doing any kind of au gratin or other baked potato dishes that have cream in them. All right, so now I'm gonna take some of these sliced potatoes here, and I'm gonna put them right into the bottom of my dish, and I'm going to arrange them in a circle. You know, so we're gonna do the spiral just like that, and they are a little hot, so work quickly when it comes to that. It's always a good idea. So there we go there. There's our first row, and we're just gonna keep working. We'll get a few more in there, just like that. And then we're gonna tilt this up to you so you'll see in just 1 second, once I get this first circle completed. There we go there, just a couple more. All right, there it is right there. So you can see we've got a nice little spiral shape that we're looking at in our bottom layer, just like that. And now we're gonna do another layer. Same thing, just go ahead and arrange another layer right on top. And of course, again, it's all about presentation, but it also makes it so that they're gonna cook more uniformly if we arrange them this way. So that's the double rationale and benefit of taking an extra moment to arrange them like this. And it just makes it look better, and cook more evenly is the idea behind it. All right, so then we're just gonna keep going around in circles like that. And so we're almost there. Let's get that nice top layer arranged just a little bit more. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we'll definitely get the cream over this whole thing because it has to cook in that cream mixture, and that's how it'll get nice and brown. And that gratin, which of course is what we're looking for. So there's the rest of our cream. We're gonna pour that right over the top, just like that. And we'll get every last bit. Perfect. And now, let's go ahead and put this into our 375-degree oven for about 40 minutes. All right, so I'm gonna wipe the edges so that it looks nice when it comes out of the oven. We certainly don't wanna have any dark brown spots on the top part here where the presentation is. And so now it's time to go into the oven with our au gratin potato. And now we wait. All right, we have some beautiful au gratin, nice and brown, ready to come out of the oven. So let's go ahead and pull those out. There they are. Look at that. Just what we were looking for. All right, so let's put that right there. And get that oven closed up. And so now we're gonna present. We got our nice plate right here. So then we can just go ahead and give ourselves a healthy portion of these beautiful potatoes au gratin. So we're gonna make sure that we go all the way around like that. So it comes out just perfect. And then we'll put that right on our plate like so. And then let's slide that over. And what I want to do is serve it with another classic preparation. This time we're going to go with some gorgeous pan-seared duck breast. So here we go here, all seared up for us. And there we have just a gorgeous medium duck breast. Just like that, and we're gonna fan that out right on our plate, and we turn that around. That's how we do it. All right, we'll put that right there. One more just like that. I always like to do things in threes. I always think that that's a nice presentation when you are working with anything, especially proteins, for your plate. So there you have it. There is our au gratin potatoes served with a nice pan-seared duck breast. And if you'll recall, we had our earlier recipe, which was our Chateau potatoes, which we served with a classic rack of lamb. And so that's it for today's episode of Classic Potato Preparations. Don't forget to tune in next time. We're going to be working on some potato bread, one of my favorite episodes ever, and I just can't wait to share it with you. Until next time, stay humble out there.